I, 26M, never thought I'd be writing a post like this. Shelley, 24F. And I have been together for about 8 months now, and until recently I thought we were happy. I guess I was wrong. I met Shelley at a local art gallery opening. I'm not usually into that scene, but my best friend dragged me along, insisting I needed to get out more after my last relationship ended badly. I was standing in front of this abstract painting, pretending to understand it, when Shelley walked up beside me. "It's about the uselessness of human existence in the face of an hard-hearted universe," she said with a straight face. When I turned to look at her, she burst out laughing. "I'm kidding. I have no idea what it's supposed to be. Looks like someone sneezed paint onto the canvas." That was the moment I fell for her. She was beautiful, yes, but it was her sense of humor that really got me. We spent the rest of the evening talking and laughing, ignoring the art completely. By the end of the night, I had her number and a date planned for the following week. Things moved quickly after that. We had so much in common. We both loved old sci-fi movies, had the same taste in music, and could spend hours talking about everything and nothing. She was smart, funny, and seemed to genuinely care about me. For the first time in years, I felt like I could be myself around someone. My last relationship had ended badly. My ex, Jessica, had some serious trust issues. She was constantly accusing me of cheating, checking my phone, and questioning my every move. It got to the point where I was walking on eggshells all the time, afraid that anything I did would set her off. When we finally broke up, I was emotionally exhausted. Shelley was different. She was confident and secure. She never questioned where I was or who I was with. She encouraged me to spend time with my friends, pursue my hobbies, and just be myself. It was refreshing, and I thought I had finally found someone I could trust completely. About 3 months into our relationship, Shelley got a new job at a marketing firm. She was excited about the opportunity, and I was happy for her. The job came with longer hours and more responsibilities, but Shelley seemed to thrive on the challenge. She'd come home bubbling with excitement about a new project or a problem she'd solved. Looking back, I guess that's when things started to change, though I didn't notice it at first. The late nights at work became more frequent. She started canceling our plans more often, always with a work-related excuse. When we did spend time together, she seemed distracted, always checking her phone. I tried to be understanding. I knew her job was important to her, and I wanted to be supportive. But as the weeks went by, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. Shelley became more distant, both emotionally and physically. Our conversations became shorter, our intimacy less frequent. When I tried to talk to her about it, she'd brush me off, saying she was just tired from work. Then came the mood swings. 1 minute she'd be affectionate and loving. The next, she'd snap at me over the smallest things. It was like walking through a minefield. I never knew what would set her off. I started to doubt myself. Was I being too needy? Was I imagining things? I thought about my ex, Jessica, and how her unfounded accusations had poisoned our relationship. I didn't want to make the same mistake with Shelley, so I kept my concerns to myself, hoping things would get better. But they didn't. If anything, Shelley became even more distant. She started going out more with her work friends, always coming home late and smelling of alcohol. When I asked about her nights out, she'd give vague answers and change the subject. The final straw came last week. Shelley had told me she had to work late, so I decided to surprise her with dinner at her office. I picked up food from her favorite Thai place and headed to her workplace. But when I got there, the security guard told me Shelley had left hours ago. My heart sank. I tried calling her, but it went straight to voicemail. I drove home in a daze, my mind racing with possibilities, none of them good. When I got home, Shelley wasn't there. She didn't come home until well after midnight. When she walked in, I was sitting on the couch, the cold, uneaten Thai food on the coffee table in front of me. She froze when she saw me, her eyes darting from me to the food and back. "We need to talk," I said. At first, she tried to play it off. She claimed she had gone for drinks with coworkers and lost track of time. But I wasn't buying it. I told her about going to her office, about how I knew she had lied about working late. That's when she broke down. Through her tears, she admitted that she had cheated on me, but even then she tried to minimize it. She said it was just a kiss, a moment of weakness. She swore it didn't mean anything, but I could see in her eyes that there was more to the story. I pressed her for details, and slowly, painfully, the truth came out. It wasn't just a kiss. It wasn't just one time. She had been in a full-blown relationship with a coworker for the past 2 weeks. I felt like I had been punched in the gut. All those late nights, All those canceled plans, all those times she was distant or irritable. It was all because of him. I thought about all the times I had doubted myself, all the times I had pushed aside my concerns, because I didn't want to be like my ex. I felt like a fool. I told Shelley it was over. I couldn't trust her anymore, and without trust, we had nothing. That's when things took a turn I never expected. Shelley started crying hysterically. She grabbed my arm, begging me not to leave. She said she loved me, that the other guy meant nothing, that she would do anything to make it right. When I tried to leave, she blocked the door. She pulled on my shirt, leaving me with scratches and bruises. I finally managed to get out of there, but it didn't end. She started calling and texting nonstop. When I blocked her number, she started calling my mom. When we blocked that number too, she showed up at my door. It's been a week, and she won't stop. She alternates between begging for another chance and threatening to hurt herself if I don't take her back. I'm exhausted and scared. I don't know what to do. I know I need to end this relationship, but I don't know how. How do I make her understand that it's over? How do I get her to leave me alone? I feel trapped and helpless. I never thought I'd be in this situation. I always prided myself on being a good judge of character, but now I'm questioning everything. Was any of it real? Were there signs I missed? How could I have been so blind? I'm angry, hurt, and confused. Part of me still loves her, or at least the person I thought she was. But I know I can't stay with her. I deserve better than this. I just don't know how to make her see that it's over. Any advice would be appreciated. How do I get out of this situation? How do I move on? Update 1. First of all, I want to thank everyone who responded to my original post. Your support and advice meant more to me than I can express. Unfortunately, things have taken a turn for the worse, and I find myself needing your help once again. After my last post, I tried to follow the advice many of you gave me. I sent Shelley a clear, firm message stating that our relationship was over and that I didn't want any further contact with her. I blocked her on all social media platforms and asked my friends and family to do the same. I thought that would be the end of it. I was wrong. The day after I sent that message, I came home from work to find Shelley sitting on the steps of my apartment building. She was huddled in a jacket I had given her months ago, her eyes red and puffy from crying. She'd been there for hours, waiting for me. When she saw me, she stood up, her whole body shaking. "Please," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "Please, just talk to me." I tried to stay calm. I told her again that it was over, that she needed to leave, but she refused to budge. She said she wouldn't go until I agreed to hear her out. Not wanting to cause a scene in front of my neighbors, I reluctantly agreed to a short conversation. That was my first mistake. Once inside my apartment, Shelley's demeanor changed completely. The tears dried up, replaced by a cold anger I had never seen before. She started pacing around my living room, her eyes darting around as if seeing the place for the first time. "So this is it?" she said, her voice dripping with contempt. "This is what you're choosing over me? This pathetic little life?" I was taken aback. This wasn't the Shelley I knew. Or maybe it was, and I had just been blind to it all along. She picked up a framed photo of us from my shelf, the one taken on our trip to the beach last summer. For a moment, her expression softened as she looked at it. Then, without warning, she smashed it on the ground. The glass shattered, scattering across my hardwood floor. "You're throwing away everything we had over one little mistake," she screamed. "You never really loved me, did you? You were always looking for an excuse to leave." I tried to defend myself, to tell her that her little mistake had broken my trust completely. But she wasn't listening. She was too far gone, lost in her own narrative of victimhood. Then she pulled out her phone and showed me a series of messages. To my horror, I realized she had been texting my sister, pretending to be me. The messages made it look like I was having some kind of mental breakdown. There were texts about feeling suicidal, about wanting to hurt myself. "If you don't give our relationship another chance," Shelley said, her voice eerily calm, "I'll send more messages like these. To your family, your friends, your boss. I'll tell everyone that you're unstable and dangerous. Who do you think they'll believe? Me, the devoted girlfriend trying to help you, or you, the guy who's been acting strange and pushing everyone away?" I was stunned. This wasn't just a bad breakup anymore. This was blackmail. I managed to get her out of my apartment that night by promising to think about it. As soon as she left, I called my sister and explained everything. Thankfully, she believed me and agreed to block Shelley's number. But it didn't end there. Over the next few days, Shelley's behavior became increasingly erratic and frightening. She created fake social media accounts to harass me and my friends. She showed up at my workplace, causing a scene in the lobby that nearly cost me my job. She even contacted my ex-girlfriend from college, telling her all sorts of lies about me. The worst part was, some people believed her. A few of my friends started looking at me differently, asking if I was okay, in a way that made it clear they thought I wasn't. My boss called me into his office to express concern about my personal life affecting my work. It felt like my whole world was slowly unraveling. I've documented everything and filed a police report, but they said there's not much they can do unless she physically threatens me. I'm looking into getting a restraining order, but the process is complicated and takes time. I'm scared and exhausted. I feel like I'm living in a nightmare. The woman I thought I knew and loved has turned into someone I don't recognize. I'm constantly looking over my shoulder, afraid of what she might do next. I've had to explain the situation to my boss, because Shelley's actions are starting to affect my work. Thankfully, he's been understanding, but I'm worried about my job security if this continues. My friends and family have been supportive, but I can tell they're getting tired of the drama. I don't blame them. I'm tired of it too. Some days I find myself wishing I had never met Shelley, never let her into my life. But then I remember the good times we had, and it makes everything even more confusing and painful. I don't know what to do next. How do I protect myself and the people I care about from Shelley's actions? How do I move on with my life when she seems determined to destroy it? How do I even begin to trust anyone again after this? Any advice would be greatly appreciated. I feel like I'm at the end of my rope here. Update 2. It's been a few weeks since my last update, and a lot has happened. I want to thank everyone again for their support and advice. It's been a lifeline during this nightmare. After my last post, things continued to escalate with Shelley. She kept showing up at my workplace, sending threatening messages, and trying to contact my friends and family. I was at my wit's end, constantly stressed, and looking over my shoulder. Then, something unexpected happened. I received a message from a number I didn't recognize. It was from a guy named Mike. He said he had something important to tell me about Shelley, and asked if we could meet. I was wary at first, thinking it might be another of Shelley's tricks, but something about the message seemed genuine. After some back and forth, I agreed to meet Mike in a public place. When I saw Mike, I instantly recognized him. He was the guy Shelley had cheated on me with. My first instinct was to turn around and leave, but he called out to me, his voice filled with urgency. "I know you probably hate me," he said, "but please, hear me out. There's something you need to know about Shelley." Against my better judgment, I sat down to listen. What Mike told me next left me reeling. It turns out, Shelley had been lying to both of us. She told Mike that she and I had broken up months ago, that I was her crazy ex who couldn't let go. She had manipulated him just like she had manipulated me. But that wasn't all. Mike had recently discovered that Shelley was married. She had a husband and a young child in another city. Everything, her relationship with me, her affair with Mike, her job, her entire life in our city, was built on lies. Mike showed me proof, social media posts, old news articles mentioning her wedding, even a copy of her marriage certificate that he had managed to obtain. It was all there in black and white. The woman I thought I knew didn't exist. As Mike and I talked, more details of Shelley's deception came to light. She had created elaborate backstories and excuses to explain her absences to both of us. The work trips she told me about were actually times she spent with her family. The family emergencies she told Mike about were times she spent with me. I felt like the ground had disappeared from under my feet. All this time, I had been blaming myself, wondering what I had done wrong. But the truth was, Shelley was living a double life, hurting not just me and Mike, but her husband and child as well. Mike and I talked for hours, piecing together the elaborate web of lies Shelley had spun. We realized that her recent erratic behavior was likely because her carefully constructed facade was crumbling. She was desperate to maintain control. As we compared notes, we discovered that Shelley had used similar tactics on both of us. She had isolated us from our friends and family, made us doubt ourselves, and played the victim whenever we questioned her. Behavior. It was a classic pattern of emotional manipulation and abuse. Armed with this new information, Mike and I decided to take action. We contacted Shelley's husband and told him everything. He was understandably shocked and devastated, but also grateful for the truth. Together, the three of us, me, Mike, and Shelley's husband, compiled all the evidence we had of Shelley's deception and manipulative behavior. We took it to the police, and this time, they took our complaints seriously. Shelley was arrested for harassment and fraud. It turns out she had also been embezzling money from her workplace to fund her double life. The legal process is ongoing, but it looks like she'll be facing serious consequences for her actions. As for me, I'm still processing everything that's happened. I feel a mix of relief, anger, and sadness. Relief that the harassment has stopped and that I finally know the truth. Anger at being deceived so thoroughly, and sadness for the relationship I thought I had, which turned out to be nothing but an illusion. Mike and I have formed an unlikely friendship through all of this. We're both seeing therapists to work through the trauma of Shelley's manipulation. It's a long road, but for the first time in months, I feel like I can breathe again. I'm taking things one day at a time, focusing on healing and rebuilding my life. I'm grateful for the support of my friends, family, and even strangers on the internet who helped me through this ordeal. The aftermath of Shelley's deception has been challenging. I've had to explain the situation to my boss and coworkers who have been surprisingly understanding. My job is secure, but I still feel a sense of embarrassment every time I walk into the office. My relationships with friends and family are slowly improving. Many of them feel guilty for believing Shelley's lies, but I don't blame them. She was incredibly convincing. If anything, this experience has shown me who my true friends are, the ones who stuck by me even when things got messy. Mike and I have continued to stay in touch. It's strange to think that the man I once saw as my rival has become a source of support. We've bonded over our shared experience, and it's been helpful to have someone who truly understands what I've been through. Shelley's husband, Tom, has also become an unexpected part of my life. He reached out to me a few weeks after Shelley's arrest, asking if we could meet. I was hesitant at first, but I agreed. Meeting Tom was surreal. Here was a man who had been married to Shelley for years, who had a child with her, and yet he knew as little about her true nature as I did. We spent hours talking, filling in the gaps in each other's stories. It was painful, but also cathartic. Tom told me about the Shelley he knew, a loving wife and mother who always had an excuse for her long absences. He showed me pictures of their daughter, a beautiful little girl who has no idea that her mother is now in jail. My heart breaks for her. As for Shelley, she's awaiting trial. Her lawyer has approached both Mike and me about testifying. I'm not sure how I feel about that. Part of me wants to put this all behind me, but another part feels a responsibility to make sure she can't do this to anyone else. I've started seeing a therapist to work through everything that's happened. It's been helpful, but I still have a long way to go. I find myself second-guessing every interaction, wondering if I'm being lied to or manipulated. I know it's not healthy, but it's hard to let my guard down after everything that's happened. There are still days when I miss the Shelley I thought I knew. I'll catch myself thinking about a joke we shared or a quiet moment we had together, and for a split second, I forget that it was all based on lies. Those moments are getting less frequent, but they still hurt. I'm not ready to date again. The thought of putting myself out there, of being vulnerable with someone new, is terrifying. But I'm trying to stay hopeful. I know that not everyone is like Shelley, that there are good, honest people out there. I'm just not ready to find them yet. For now, I'm focusing on myself. I've started going to the gym regularly, picked up some new hobbies, and I'm trying to reconnect with old friends. It's not always easy, but it's a start. To anyone out there who might be going through something similar, trust your instincts. If something feels off in your relationship, don't ignore it. And remember, you're not alone. There are people who will support you and help you through the darkest times. I don't know what the future holds. The legal proceedings against Shelley are ongoing, and I'm sure there will be more challenges ahead. But for the first time in a long time, I feel like I'm on solid ground. I'm rediscovering who I am without Shelley's influence, and slowly but surely, I'm healing. Thank you all for being there for me through this journey. Your support has meant more than you know. I'll update again if there are any major developments, but for now, I'm just taking it one day at a time.